Right, welcome to the second part of this. The first job this evening is to pop the propeller on. So first of all, washer and the nut. Then hopefully the prop will just go on. That's it. And I think that will be alright. And even if it was to come loose, with this piece which comes across the back, it would hopefully stop me losing the propeller anyway. Just to give it a quick test. It always pays to test these things as you go along. Make sure it's going the right way around. So forward. That's okay. That seems to be turning pretty true, so happy with that. And then just put these things back on. One side. Yeah, these little flats on them, so they always line up with each other. Seems to be about right. Make sure. That's all okay. The next thing, I'll just pop the camera up here for a moment if I can. Kind of difficult. While all the servos are connected and the radio is switched on, I know that one goes there. And I'll just make sure that we're that level. That seems to be right. Do the second one here, which is for the front planes, and what I've tried to do is to make, you'll see it in a minute when I'm down at the other end, this bar here for vertical, and then set the rudder trim to neutral, and the rudder one. So that's this end of the sub pretty well done. So we've got the elevators, and we've got rudder. Actually, I'll just trim that slightly. That's it. There's a little bit of flex there. Good. Right. Everything now is going to focus on the other end of the sub. So what you have is you've got two switches here. This is your main power on and off, and this is the control board, I think, on and off. And so if I just tuck the wires in here inside, that's I'm going to screw on with 6 screws, and in order that you can turn it on and off remotely, what you've got is you've got this arrangement down here with some bell cranks. It looks as if the original plastic ones have been replaced with aluminium alloy ones, and I think that that is a common problem with these, so it's good that that's been done. This top one here, when I got it, wasn't so good, so I actually took part of a domestic plug apart and made up my own control horn out of brass here, and that seems to be holding quite well. I'll just slip these on while everything's loose. Undo the nut slightly. That's the one. And do the one over here. That's it. I'll leave tightening those up for a little while. The wires all seem to be in a reasonable place inside, so I'll leave them where they are, and I'll just pop these 6 screws in. Right, so the last thing to do really before we start testing it and getting the balance right is to put this front plate on. The fellow who had it before, for some reason, had connected up something to the outside, a couple of bits of brass, but he seems to have covered it back over with something quite sticky to seal it, so I've got a nasty feeling that maybe the seal there wasn't quite as perfect as he had hoped. So I unsoldered the wires, and these two here are the charging sockets. It only takes a minute or two to take the front cover off, and you shouldn't really leave it on when you're not using the submarine for an extended period of time. So I'll be charging through here. Now that I've got the nickel metal hydride batteries, I'm going to be able to charge them a lot faster, and I'm going to be able to be more confident about the amount of capacity that they've got in them. So I'll just quickly pop these on. Right, not forgetting the all-important seal. Just get that seated. That's it. You can actually see how much pressure you're applying by the thickness of the seal it produces, and that to me kind of looks alright. It's probably hard to make out on the video, but you can see a seal line all the way around, and if you either tighten it or loosen it, you make that seal thicker or thinner, and I'm sort of aiming to get about the same all the way around. That looks good. So with that, I would say But we're basically ready for the next stage of setup, which is to get the boat, or to get the submarine floating level and at the right depth, and I'll be doing that in the bath. There are weights down here and collars which you can undo so you can move the weights around. As I said at the beginning of the first video, the weight that I've replaced the battery with is slightly less than the original battery, and that in theory is to compensate for this camera at the front. If it turns out that I need more weight, well, I can easily add it in a number of places, but the first thing to do will be just to see. And the actual case weighs quite a bit, so what I'll be doing is I'll just be loosely putting the outer body shell on, just hold it together with probably one screw at the top, and resting the dome on the top, so that I'm testing with the right weight. Testing the bath will be the next thing. Transmitter on. Main power on. Control unit on. Just check the control surfaces, they're working, and the pump and the motor, so everything seems to be working. So here goes. If I've forgotten the seal, I'll find out fairly quickly. Just move the camera around so you can see that better. Okay, here it goes. Now the two ends take a few seconds to flood. So we can see where it's actually sitting. Right. And that's pretty good. And as long as it doesn't keep sinking, i.e. filling with water where it shouldn't, I think we're going to be alright. Okay. Let's just put them into the middle. It's a little bit nose down, but hardly at all. I suppose I could move the weights a fraction back. What's that? It's certainly, well, in my view, it's worth spending the time getting this bit right, because it will be very frustrating to use if it isn't set up as well as you possibly can. And by adding that camera, I'm introducing different weights in different places to the model. And I just kind of want to get it right. Like that. Right, here it goes again. so the nose sinks first, then the tail goes. Okay, so we look like we're slightly nose heavy. Let's drop it to the bottom. Yeah, it's actually got another feature in it whereby if it detects water inside the hull, it will automatically try and surface. Although I have a feeling that by the time there's enough water in there for it to detect it, you've probably not got enough water to pump out of the bag to actually surface, but at least it'll tell you there's something wrong, and the warning lights inside will be flashing so that you know to look for it. So sinking again. There it goes. And again, the tail seems to go down first. Right, that's the most it will go. Try this piece. Right, that is definitely sitting on the bottom, both ends. Right, okay, let's see what happens when it surfaces. That seems to be alright. So just a small piece of lead. It needs to go roughly where that main dive plane is, and what I'll do is I'll find somewhere sensible, probably inside it, or maybe around the inside of the body. And that's that. So the next test is going to be in the swimming pool. I'm going to get a kids pool turning up soon, and that'll be the last test I do before I take it out to the local lake.